Okay, so while reading Omnivore's Dilemma, we've been focusing on informational text. And luckily, your STAR test that you guys took, your mock STAR, the first text that you had to read was an informational text. So today we're going to go over using the strategies that we've been learning and also paying attention to author's purpose in order to help us really be successful in answering these questions. Now, I noticed that during testing, a lot of people did not use the strategies on their actual test. So I'm going to model to you what my expectations are and what I believe will truly help you to be successful. So, a little review. When talking about author's purpose, we have persuade, inform, and entertain. When talking about soapstone, we have the speaker, the occasion, the audience, purpose, subject, tone, which is the attitude about the subject. Now, if you need me to kind of break this down slowly, then you can watch the first video again. Okay? So, this is Miss Abwem looking at the test. All right, so now the first text that we were reading for the mock STAR was called Air Force One. All right, so when I look at a text, I kind of skim through it, meaning that I look over it really quickly, kind of like read through like the most important aircraft in the United States, technically speaking, flying presidents, then this part says revealing character, there's a picture right there. So I'm thinking that this first text is going to be informational. So I looked through the text, I looked at the title, I looked at the pictures, the subheadings, and I determined that PIE, that I'm going to infer that it's an informational text. Now, because I believe it's an informational text, I'm going to soapstone. Now, it's not always that when reading an informational text that you're going to find the speaker, okay? So in this text, we don't know who's the one giving us this information, so I'm going to cross out S. For the occasion, again, why is this information important at this time? I'm going to write that I think it is important because our current presidents still fly on this plane. And you could come up with something totally different, okay? But this is why I think that this information is important at this time. Also, I've already read through it, right? So I've looked through it, I've made an inference as far as author's purpose. I've written soapstone on the side because I figured that it was an informational text. It could end up being a persuasive text, but we can still use soapstone for persuasive or informative text. The occasion, again, why I think it's important at this time. I think it's important because our presidents still fly on this plane. The audience, I think that the audience are American citizens. All right, and the reason why I think the audience is American citizens is because who would care about the plane that the American president flies on? I think only Americans would really care. It could be, politicians, it could be whoever, but I'm thinking that whoever is interested in this is probably American, okay? The author's purpose. By doing this already, I've kind of already looked at the author's purpose, but at this point in Soapstone, I'm like, okay, it's informed, but informing us about what? In the first paragraph, it says the most important aircraft in the United States Air Force is a plane labeled VC-25A, better known as Air Force One. So I think that the purpose of this article is to inform us about Air Force One airplane. So then the subject, what we are focusing on, is the Air Force One airplane. Now, the author's tone, the attitude about Air Force One airplane. I could say, I think it's a positive tone. There's a lot of different words I could use in order to describe the author's attitude about the subject, but I think it's a positive one. I think it's an admirable one because the author is speaking positively about the plane and what it does for the president. And I'm just going to leave it there, all right? So, the speaker, we couldn't figure out who the speaker was, so I just crossed that out. The occasion, I think it's important because our current president still flies on the Air Force One. Audience, the people I think who care about this are the American citizens. The purpose is to inform us about the Air Force One airplane. Subject is the Air Force One airplane. Tone, I believe it's positive, admirable, and I'll even add that it's a very straightforward, also informational type of tone. Okay, so there's no kind of persuasion going on. He's not or she's not it's the best plane in the world. They're just kind of telling us facts and information about the Air Force One. So hopefully you guys understand how to soapstone when testing. Now, I want you to soapstone while testing. I want you guys to now go and look at the questions that you got incorrect and watch the videos about my tips and strategies for answering those questions so that next time you don't get them wrong. All right, see you on the flip side.